What I'd like to talk about today is a couple of tools or metrics I use to sort of gauge how quickly a particular cryptocurrency's community is growing, how quickly their following is growing. Because as we all know, in this space, network effects are a very, very big deal. Metcalfe's law certainly applies. This is certainly part of the reason why I think a coin like Ethereum has a massive head start over a coin like Cardano because they already have all these projects being built on top of their platform. Whereas while Cardano is coming in as a follower, having learned from some of the possible technical mistakes of Ethereum, some of the scaling issues, and they're attempting to address that problem, network effects are going to play a major, major role in what could be a winner-take-all competition. And Ethereum has a massive head start on that. They have all of these tokens being built on top of this, all these projects being built on top of it, and that's going to have a massive role. So with Metcalfe's law, basically it's telling us that the value of a network, the value of a community is proportional to the square of the number of nodes or the number of participants in that network, in that community. And that not only applies in the case of digital currency, that not only applies when looking at the number of wallets a particular cryptocurrency has, looking at the number of nodes that are on the network, but I think it also applies to the number of Twitter followers that they have, the number of subscribers to their Reddit channel, how active they are in social media, how active their community is online. I think that plays potentially a major role, and I think even especially it plays a potentially massive role in stimulating demand for the coin itself. And as we all know, if demand outstrips supply for a coin on the exchanges, it's very, very likely that the price of the coin is going to rise, at least in the short term. So one thing I like to look at is the number of Reddit subscribers to a particular cryptocurrency, and especially the growth rate in the number of Reddit subscribers. So to find that, there is a site called redditmetrics.com, and let's take a look at a coin that has been running up recently, VeChain. And so looking at VeChain over the past month, we can see this massive run up. Now the question is, looking backwards, could we have potentially predicted this run up? Is are spikes in the number of subscribers to VeChain's Reddit channel in any way predictive of this price growth? Do they give us an idea? Let's say we like the fundamentals of VeChain. We like the technology, we like the problem that they're trying to solve. We think that they're ahead of their competition. They have some sort of competitive advantage. So we think the fundamentals of the coin and the platform are strong. But we're trying to figure out the proper entry point. Could we have in any way predicted this price run-up, or is the growth of the coin's community entirely because of the price run-up? So let's take a look. The first thing we need to do is we need to find what exactly VeChain's Reddit channel is, their handle, their forum channel, and we can see in this case simply it is VeChain. For many other communities, they do something like VeChain Official, or they might do, like Komodo. I know they do Komodo Platform, but in this case, it's very simply VeChain. So we just type in here at the top VeChain, and what we're looking for here are outlier spikes in the growth of the community. So this is the number of subscribers per day. We can see on December 1st, VeChain was able to attract 54 new subscribers, out of currently 19,000. And so we're looking for our very significant spikes. We can see here on December 18th they had a nice spike, but then it kind of fell off. We can see a nice growth here. So in these days, we're looking at around a 150 average I'd probably around a 150 mean growth rate in the number of Reddit subscribers, and we can see this very substantial spike on December 27th, going from around 150 to on December 27th, they added 538 new subscribers to their Reddit forum, and we can see that this sort of continued for the next few days. They had a drop off the following day, but then they continued it on the 29th and the 30th. So I think this could have been a potentially very good entry point for VeChain, December 27th. But then more importantly, I think December 2nd and December 3, January 2nd and January 3rd are massive spikes and very, very good entry points. We can see this huge spike on January 2nd, but not only that, but we can see that since then, they have stayed well above their baseline of 150 here, 2, 3, 4, 500 here. Since that time, they have, even though they've had a drop off, they've continued to sustain very significant growth, well above their baseline, 1,500, 700, well above their baseline of 3, 4, 500 per day. So key entry points here could have been December 27 and January 2nd. So we're looking here. We can see that on December 27th, we could have actually these December 27th, for the day of December 27th, they added 538 new subscribers. So we actually, unless we were actively watching this during the day, we probably would not have found the entry point until the morning of December 28th. So if we had entered, let's say around midnight UTC time on December 28th, we would have come in at a price of around 12,000, 13,000 Satoshis. Okay, so we enter around 13,000 Satoshis. Obviously, you can see it has had a massive run-up since then. We're at 49,000 Satoshis today. If we had entered on January 2nd, we would have entered actually on the morning of January 3rd, because the run-up, the spike was on January 2nd. So we would have entered around the morning of January 3rd, and we would have entered at around 17,000 or 18,000 Satoshis, and we can see that that was sort of the point where they started to go parabolic, and they have run up since then to a price of 49,000 Satoshis. Now, one thing that we want to be careful of here is we want to make sure that when we are entering, we're not catching the top, and that we want to make sure that the growth is somewhat organic, that it's not entirely based on massive increases in the price of the coin, which creates all this buzz around the coin, and that's what's causing the increase in subscribers. And so we actually do see, in this case, that there was an increase in the number of subscribers, and that has sort of sustained itself and actually even run up more. And we have seen the coin perform very, very well over that time. Now, I'm not saying this is, currently, I think right now this would be a point where we'd want to be careful, where even though they had a nice spike yesterday on January 10th, I think that may be in large part because of the price run up on January 10th. So we want to be careful to ensure that what we're looking at is we're not looking backwards and it's the price spike leading to the increase in the price of the coin. So that's the first metric we can look at, is the growth rate, the increase in the number of Reddit subscribers for the particular coin. So the next metric that we would look at is the number of Twitter followers. So we're going to go to, instead of Reddit metrics, we're going to go to socialblade.com. And up here you can see we want to have it selected as Twitter in the pull down, and we want to find the Twitter handle for the coin. So in this case it's VeChain official, and we're going to put that in here, and it's going to tell us the overall number of followers that they have, but more importantly the growth rate and the increase in their followership. So we can see here today is January 11th. So this is actually, these numbers are showing their followership on the start of the day. So today is January 11th. So this morning, this is the number that we would have seen, 41,947 total followers. And this green number is the increase that from the previous day. So what we basically see here is that the previous day, on January 10th, VeChain added 2,085 new followers to their Twitter account. Okay, and then here, January 10th, we see that actually on January 9th, they added, the previous day, they added 1,500 new followers on Twitter. So again, what we're looking for here is very significant spikes in the number of new followers. Okay, so what we see here is, starting around December 20th, their baseline I would say is anywhere from 100 to 800 new followers on Twitter per day, averaging out to around 600 per day. And then we see this very significant spike again on December 27th, which matches up well here on December 27th. So we actually see on Twitter, this is December 27th. So what we know is that on December 26th, they increased their followership by 1,300 people, which is around 10%, a little more, of their total following of 12,000. They had a drop off after that, but still we're having a pretty good increase in the number of followers. But here is the blast off point. January 4th, they increased their Twitter following by 3,000, which is a more than 3x spike from the baseline of the previous days. Okay, this 3,000 is roughly 14% of their overall following, and they have sustained that over the coming days. They've gone from an average of around 600 new followers a day to 2,000, 4,000, 3,000, 3,000, 3,000. Massive spike over the past week in their Twitter following. They have basically doubled, more than doubled, their overall Twitter following in less than a week. Okay, they have been around for quite a while. We can see that they have been on exchanges already since August 22nd, and in that time, for their first 4 months of existence, they built a Twitter following of 17,000 in 4 months. Now all of a sudden, in the past 1 week, they have more than doubled it, all the way up to 42,000 followers. So what we would expect here is that we could have entered on the morning of January 4th, because this 3,000 number is it's the number of new followers they had on January 3rd. We could have entered here if we liked the fundamentals of VeChain, if we had had our eyes on this coin, if we had been following them. A good entry point might have been on the morning of January 4th. And so we can see here on January 4th, we could have entered. There was a very significant run-up on the previous day, but it's nothing out of the norm in digital currencies. Certainly it would be out of the norm in the stock market, but in crypto, this is nothing out of the norm. So let's say we're in the Eastern time zone, and we had seen this number come out around midnight, our time in the Eastern U.S. That would be 04, 400 hours UTC time. We could have entered here on January 4th at around 400 hours. Maybe we would have caught it a little bit late, a couple of hours late. And so you can see here we could have entered for a price of around 22,000 Satoshis. And it has since had a very significant run-up to a current price of 49,000 Satoshis. If we had entered here on this first spike on December 27th, We could have started accumulating the morning of the 27th at around 9,000 Satoshis. And so, we would have more or less 5x'd our money over the past couple of weeks if we had entered at that point. Again, we do want to be careful not to be catching the tops. We want to be careful not to ensure that a good portion of this growth is organic and not entirely because of people chasing the price increases. We want to be sure that we haven't had a blow off top and we're at a point where the price is unsustainable. But these are potentially two very good entry points that we could have been predictive of a growing community, a growing following, and a potential virality of the coin itself. So those are two sites that you can take a look at: socialblade.com for Twitter followers and redditmetrics.com for the growth in the subscribership. Again, this is not the be-all, end-all in measuring the growth of a community, but I think these are two good proxies. If we're looking for data, these are probably two of the best proxy metrics that we can find, two of the best ways to gauge how rapidly a particular coin's community is growing, or whether that coin is stagnating, whether the community has flatlined or is even dropping off. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, please subscribe below. I welcome your comments. I will be engaging with the more reasonable of the comments and questions. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.